Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Smite Super Regionals. We've got a great game coming up for you, Luminosity versus Dignitas. But as you can see, Taco has transformed once again. We've got, I don't know if you guys like the transformation. I do. He's got a sexy accent here. Go ahead, Hazer. You're from Scotland, right?
I am indeed, yeah. Just glad to be here on the desk again.
We're glad to have you, man. And of course, he is the coach for Obey. He's going to be helping us out with the analysis side of things as we head into this next set. So, looking at things, obviously rounding out what happened, ALG finally take a 2-0 and put themselves at the top of the group. They've got 2 matches played. Now Luminosity, now Dig. Time for them to play their second match. One of them is going to have 2 wins.
Absolutely. Both of them have that 1 point, and now it's very important for them to figure out a way to adapt to each other's style, because Dignitas, recently, they've been playing a little bit different styles, a lot of anticipation of these best of ones, and Luminosity have been playing more towards the traditional style that we've always been seeing out of them.
Yeah, I think LG are just playing Smite, by the meta that's developed by all the teams, whereas Dig are kind of developing their own meta. They're loving this hog on 1 person, hog on 2 people, invading buffs, taking things away, going for early objectives. And I think LG will have done their homework on that, and we'll see if they've come up with a plan that they can adjust to it well. I'd like to see a TP in solo out of LG and just to abuse that rotation around the map.
I could definitely see a lot of aggressive tendencies now from ScariD after playing the Vamana the last game. Definitely boosting a lot of his confidence there. And he's going to be against Ducky, who is also bringing a lot of pressure in that solo lane. So how do you anticipate that?
I think that solo lane might be a bit of a wash, honestly. They're both really strong players. They both like kind of aggressive solo laners. Like you've seen Ducky on Osiris and you've seen Scary on that Vamana, as we said. And I think the solo, I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact in this set. I think it's going to be more about what goes on in the core.
Between the mid jungle and the support, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, Xenotronics definitely seems to be finding his grooves, especially with that surprisingly Izanami pick against Lobster, who brought it out earlier on. Definitely did a lot better than Lobster did.
Yeah, he did pretty well with it. I still, I didn't think it did that much. I still don't see the value. It gives a lot of pressure in mid. That's it.
What would you like to see instead?
Janus, if he can get it. If he can get Janus, I'd love to see him on that. I think all of the NA mid laners have showed they're incredible on Janus. And I think maybe a Raijin or something. Maybe we see him on that Jingwei.
Now, that's a big point of contention already. I know it enough. Taco's been sitting next to me enough in these analyst sessions. He doesn't like Raijin. A lot of people, they feel good about Raijin. See Heruin pick it a lot. A lot of people don't like it. You seem to be okay with it.
I think it's a situational pick. I don't think it's anywhere near as strong as it once was, obviously, being like one of the top picked gods. I remember Yaman used to play it pretty much every week in the SPL and just destroy on it. But now I think it's pretty balanced. It's situational when you need someone a bit more safe with that, that escape, which allows you to avoid a lot of damage. He's your man.
Well, when you have Alquang jungle, do you normally want another mage to go in your mid lane to stack that double magical, or would you prefer a hunter? Because that was the plan for Luminosity last time. That's why they picked that Izanami.
I know a lot of teams run Alquang with it, Neath or Izanami in mid. I don't mind the 4 magical comps, even if you have a magical in solo as well. You end up with 4 magical. I don't mind it at all. I don't think it's too big of a deal. I think sometimes people get a bit too hung up on your balance of physicals and magicals, but if you get the penetration in the right places and if you abuse the OP characters in quotes that you've picked up, you can definitely get away with having magical mid and magical jungle. I don't see any problem with it.
As long as you do get that physical hyper carry, right? Like maybe Rama, maybe Xbalanque, Jingwei, something that will really accelerate in the late game. But for ShadowNightmare specifically, we haven't really seen too many physical hunters out of him recently.
Hit us with that that turnaround, man.
Yeah. He's always watching. He always knows when the camera's coming.
How did it feel like he stared right at me?
Yeah.
He knew I was looking.
Into my soul.
That's right.
I don't know if Shadow has physical hunters mid rather in his repertoire. To be honest, I haven't seen him play it very much, and I think he does kind of stick to this traditional. I'm a mid laner, I'm going to play a mage, I'm going to hit my big ults and do damage.
It's definitely been working out for them when he does hit those Scylla combinations. He's been pretty consistent about his root crushes. In the last game that he was playing the Scylla, unfortunately, he was a little bit inconsistent with his ultimate. Sometimes it was a little bit too early, sometimes it just wouldn't confirm the kill either way. So what do you want to see out of ShadowNightmare being played with FrostiaK?
I would just like to see him and Frosty play off each other. I think they're amazing when they work as a duo. I think they've been playing together for a while. They know each other really well, and I just think, maybe get off that Scylla. But it seems to be the story of the tournament. Everybody who's been on Scylla has had a bit of trouble hitting the Scylla ults. I know Prime did, and thought that Stealth did that last set. So maybe just put him on Silicon.
Do you think it's a little bit of land jitters because all these players are doing a best of one? 5 best of ones throughout these 2 days might get you a little bit on edge?
I would say that the best of ones are definitely a lot of pressure. I'm glad that we're not going into these and having to deal with them. But I don't know. I think these players are all very experienced, quite tenured in the scene, and I think they'll all be able to deal with it pretty well.
Hazer, I've got a question for you. Since you're not in the position of actually having to face the pressure, it might be easy for you to give a concentrated and relaxed answer. If you're going into these best of ones as a coach, what are you telling your team to do? Do you stick with some of your tried and true strategies, or do you go for something that's a little flashy, it's a little interesting to try and throw off the opposition and just win this one game?
I think personally in these best of ones, you've got to be doing a lot of research. You're coming into one game where they have no time to adjust to anything you do. So if you've done your research, you've figured out, how they start, what kind of things they're looking for in picks and bans, whether you can abuse them with a hog, whether they're going to abuse a hog, things like that. You just really have to do your homework and have a game plan ahead of, going into picks and bans. I doubt any of those teams out there are going right now and generating a plan. I think they'll have all planned stuff well ahead of time. And I think going for something a bit janky, a bit out of meta, is a good thing here because there's no time to adjust to it.
Everything is dictated whether or not you're first or second pick. If you're first pick, you want to have a strategy for yourself. If you're second, you generally want to look for countering whatever the opposition is throwing at you. So if I'm Dignitas here, I'm looking to ban away the Soul and / or even the Jing Wei out of both BaRRaCCuDDa and Xenotronics because they definitely like to flip-flop that between themselves.
I would say, yeah, the Jing might be something good to ban away here, although we have seen BaRRa lose on it a few times in the initial best of 5 he was playing in. I think Sol, I don't see them banning that away, to be honest. I think EU have a fair handle on how to deal with Sol. I don't think we think it's as good as NA do. Maybe we don't give it enough respect, but I can't see that getting banned away this time.
You know what's interesting? We've seen some Freya, we've seen some Sol, but we haven't seen any Kronos recently in that magical hunter position. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, Funball is a big guy for the Kronos
right.
ADC, but he stuck to the Freya and the Anhur this time. We actually expected he would bring it out at some point, and we were a little bit scared of it. We think he's really strong on that character, but I don't know. Maybe teams just want a little bit more pressure early game. You don't want to be waiting on that Kronos getting an item stacked up, getting a Doom Orb or a Thoth or something. You just want to be in the game and able to fight at Gold Fury's early game.
I guess that's a good question. As since it is the best of one and so much matters, do you think maybe they're just hesitant? Could it be just we want to playing for the late game is a riskier strategy maybe than just going for something that we know if we get a win early, we can actually snowball off of this and put ourselves in a momentum position to start winning.
Yeah, it definitely could be something that people are considering is trying to just in those late game fights you make one mistake and you can lose the game off. It's so hard.
Yeah.
So as they are just now, I think getting to the late game is a scary proposition.
Yeah.
But do you think that might hurt some teams a little bit too much? We saw the last game that Allegiance wasn't afraid to start the game very aggressively right off the bat, the way they were playing the Odin, just all over the place.
Yeah. I think maybe they've had a lot of practice playing with that style, I guess. I think that's the same with Team Dig. I think Dig have a lot of practice with playing these early game aggression strategies, picking up the Osiris solo with maybe a Thor or something, looking for raids, things like that. So, we see Luminosity get the Terra this time. The Terra got through picks and bans, which I'm surprised at, and they immediately locked that in.
The Capri ban, that is actually really surprising for Dignitas to take that away from Luminosity, which means, because I don't normally think of Capri when I associate JeffHindla with any support god, right? I'm thinking of more the Athena, the Sobek, the Bacchus kind of style, even the Fafnir every now and then, but not necessarily the Capri, which means that Dignitas doesn't really know how to play against it, in my opinion. Yeah,
they might just be really scared of Capri in general. Maybe they've had issues against it in the past. It's interesting to see them go for a Sobek and a Capri ban. I don't know if they're both shots at Jeff or the Sobek is a shot over in that solo lane. But then we see them pick up the Athena and the Anhur, so quite an aggressive duo lane, I would assume. But we could see this Athena going solo or jungle as well.
We do see the Jing Wei and the Ra banned away by Luminosity, and Dignitas, they take away the Sobek and the Capri as we've been discussing. And now Luminosity rounding out some of the synergy for their team. Terra, Ram, and Janus will be selected for them. How's this looking?
So this is a really good lineup for Luminosity thus far. They have a lot of mobility with the Janus through space and time, the Threshold. They have the Terra's Blessing as well to give Luminosity increased mobility. And then they have a lot of a lot of long-range artillery with this Rama. If anyone's about to get away, they could potentially find those snipes. Now, Rama is going to go for BaRRaCCuDDa. Now, Xenotronics could play it every now and then, but with Janus being locked in, that's definitely going to go to him. So it's going to be a lot of adaptation now for Dignitas, and the reason why they're picking this Batz is to potentially chase down anybody going through the portal. If you can land that Sacred Monkey, you could chase them through those portals.
Yeah, I really like Batz into Janus. I think it's a really good pick. You can CC him so he can't get his ult off. You can follow him through those portals and finish him off. Even jumping over walls after him through portals is a plenty good way to catch him. It's pretty interesting that we see Luminosity get the Janus that they obviously favor in that third pick spot. So we'll see how they do with it.
Are you worried that Dig got the bots? Because we saw Cuvo Fred do extremely well on it earlier, and NA, they don't tend to favor bots, whereas Europe is like, oh, give me that monkey.
Yeah, we love our bats over in Europe. I don't know why NA don't. I mean, just press 4, win the fight. That's what we like to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we've seen this exact
press 4
combo before out of Dig with the Batz ult into the Kukulkan ult, and they were, pulling it off really, really well.
The beautiful thing about Batz is the fact that even if you're behind, that ultimate is such a big factor in these team fights, just to disorient and split the team fight into 2 different places. And now you have the Kukulkan that's going to be easily set up by the Athena consistently over and over again by BigManTingz. So we're going to see a lot of Spirit. The 9 wins and Mass just feeling really confident there. He's warming his hands up because he's about to lock in Susano for the 2nd time in a row. Now, yet again, Susano has had some nerfs recently, I believe in the 3.19 patch, but Mask clearly doesn't care.
Get this guy some gloves, man. Apparently, I mean, I get it for like at a moment. He just kept on going. It's like maybe he's cold. Dan, let's see if he needs something in there. Dignitas going to go and follow up with Osiris
Frisky.
to finish things off. I'm feeling still, Scary D, I'm happy that Scary D had that really good performance on the Vamana. It seems like he's going to be ready, even though the early aggression from Osiris is there. I feel like Scary D's confidence is there now.
This is so risky now for Scary D because he's playing this early game Amaterasu that struggles at this point in time, whereas Ducky, he's always been so aggressive, and now you're giving him one of the most aggressive gods in the game on Osiris. I'm expecting Ducky to just not let go of the pressure.
Yeah, I think we might see a hog come out here from Ducky, and then them just pressure that solo side of the map non-stop, get every set of fire imps, go for the blues, go for the speed buffs, try and get some invades off, with him poking out the Amaterasu as much as possible with his 1 and 2 combo.
I think that we're going to have to see Mask cater a little bit towards that solo, making sure that Scary D doesn't fall too far behind.
Well, he's going to have a lot of mobility to track Osiris down. Mobility, Susano, that definitely goes in a synergistic manner. Ratatosker from Mana off the board. Doesn't matter. You know who everybody's playing. Let's hit it over to the casters for another game. Luminosity, first team Dig.
Thanks so much, Rain Day. And as you can see, Luminosity versus Dignitas, a very important game for both these 2 teams. Luminosity probably the favorites coming into this, but Dignitas have drafted a very similar composition to that they drafted before, at least in the core.
Yeah, especially, this Batz combined with the Athena, combined with the Kukulkan, it's all about this big burst. Find someone, pick them off, and just rinse and repeat repeatedly. You also have potentially a Wrath. I agree that I feel like Ducky will go Wrath on this Osiris. And then on top of that, the Kukulkan ultimate, really good objective secure.
Suntouch is in trouble already. There's a wraparound from the boys of LG already. This is a lot of poke, forced to leave.
Jump.
Master's still on his way, though. I was thinking they may have continued for that. But yeah, forcing the jump. It won't hurt too much overall, though, in terms of clear at the start of the game.
It's not the worst, but it's definitely not the spot you want to be in. How dual lane works is sometimes all it matters is that 1 to 2 second difference. If you can get to lane, even if you don't have the superior lane clear in the 2v2, just allowing you to get that first pressured wave, and then on top of that, just hit the next wave as it's coming in, look for poke. It opens up so many opportunities, and this could slow down Dig's clear. It will slow down Dig's clear. On top of that, the knock-up actually, or the jump is a knock-up, so it's going to disperse the minions and make it that much harder to kill them.
Shockingly enough, the ability is called Disperse, so it does exactly what it said on the tin. The most interesting thing for me, though, Dennis, and I want to get your opinion on this, is the fact that the Anhur at the beginning, hold that for, wait a second, I'll come back to that, because Ducky and FrostiaK are looking for the blue buff on the right-hand side. They have the Wrath on the side of Ducky, and obviously you saw Scary D use his on that speed buff there. So this one going to go the way of Dignitas. However, there'll be a little bit of a skirmish afterwards.
A little bit surprising that LG just didn't try and kill FrostiaK at the beginning there. He got the overhand smashed, and look at this. Using
Speed
this
buff.
movement speed aura and the speed buff, FrostiaK is going to survive. FrostiaK should have been dead there. I mean,
and
Scary D and Mass, all they had to do was just go aggressive on him while he was still in that blue buff pit. Instead, they started walking the lane, and then I think they realized it afterwards.
Oh, Ducky
okay,
took
let's
a
go.
lot of poke there as well, and Ducky's going to go down for first blood. Scary D gets it, and it was all Mass that did the work there, to be fair, but Scary D getting it is really going to help him out in this lane.
This is poor mechanics coming out from Dignitas at the start of this game. I mean, even that buff invade, Luminosity had already finished their speed buff before Dignitas even started up the blue buff. They lost a lot of XP, they were slow to lane, took too much poke, and that just opened up the opportunity for the first blood.
Have no clue why Frosty went back in there, but he did get poked out a little bit more in that lane, and the pressure is still in this lane now as well, as a full minion wave is going to be pushed towards the tower edge as well. I do want to go back to the Anhur as well, now that we've got a bit of a lull in action. The Anhur pick was picked very early by Dignitas to give Suntouch a comfort pick by the look of it, but the problem is that you gave up a Janus for the Xenotronics in mid lane.
And it's a god that all mid laners feel very comfortable on. It's one of the safest gods in the game, and it really allows you to abuse kind of that mobility. And look, I mean, already FrostiaK going to be forced out here.
Shadow's actually off as well in an awkward spot, but him and Xeno trading out. Xeno actually ported to get himself out if need be, but with the support of Mass wrapping round as well, he'll be okay for the time being, so he didn't have to take it.
And LG, a minute and 50 in, and they already have over 1,000 gold lead. You can see FrostiaK sitting at level 2 still. I think he did at least get 1.
Yeah, he hit level 3 of it, so that's definitely the next level for him. Obviously, ShadowNightmare can farm back into this on the Kukulkan, but it will delay him a little bit more. Meanwhile, duo lane, well, Luminosity have turned up to play in the duo lane all weekend long from a lot of people's point of view as well, and they just continue to do so. Suntouch and BigManTingz are going to have a rough lane here.
Scary, does he have ult? Oh, he hasn't leveled up his ult, I don't believe. Oh, he did. Oh, he just used it. Okay. I thought he didn't level it at first. I was wondering why he didn't dive Ducky there for the free kill, but I guess that's how he got him low. And this has been great. You heard the desk talking about it. Osiris has very strong pressure in lane. He did go the Wrath like it was expected, and it was really all about Ducky wanting to get lane control early and shut Scary down. Instead, it's Ducky who dies for first blood, doesn't have TP, so misses at least half a wave, and the first blood goes over to Scary. Scary is now going to be the one pressuring Ducky under this tower
for sure
at all stages, and Osiris really needs to be ahead to be effective.
And the funny thing is that this lane, because neither of them have teleport in it whatsoever, whoever forces even one back first wins the lane, just because they can force a next wave in if they want to and head back to base themselves with an advantage.
We're probably going to have to see FrostiaK rotate over to the right-hand side if Ducky's going to have any chance of getting this pressure back. Right now, Scary D is just going to back to base, start up some items, finish his boots, actually, and Ducky's probably a ways away. Can we see gold in hand? I'm actually interested to know. He is at 850, so he's getting close there, but it's still going to take a couple more waves.
Getting close, and he's quite far behind as well. And the best thing is for Scary D on the Amaterasu, he can still push up to the tower over and over again because of the presence of Xenotronics
Janus.
playing a Janus in the mid lane.
And it's so hard for any of the lanes of Dignitas to have pressure. Even if we see Suntouch and BigManTingz start to go aggressive, even if they win a trade, you always have to be aware of that global. And Luminosity has double. It's also the Terra ult that you always have to factor in. Much more effective than Athena ult. You can see the Athena ult coming. It's charging. Well, you have time to react.
Focus on Xenotronics there in the mid lane. He's going to purify, but what was Luminosity doing? Meanwhile, they want the buffs in the jungle. You saw the pings on blue and speed, but they've still not spawned yet. So instead, put some poke onto Ducky.
And they probably could have got that kill, but they were a little bit unsure of committing to it.
There's an Athena as well, I guess. So you got to take into account that could ult.
Also, it could have. You look at that Kukulkan, you always got to be worried about Dig potentially going for a Gold Fury. Your Wrath's on the other side of the map. Actually, no, Polar Bear Mike picked it up as well. So double Wrath coming out from LG.
Well, the funny thing here as well is that Dignitas is just happy to give up their right-hand side jungle here. FrostiaK has stayed in the mid lane to farm up. They didn't rotate to their buffs.
I don't think they're happy.
And now they're going to find the buff down.
I don't think they're happy. They didn't even know that. I'm really not sure how Dignitas didn't expect that speed buff invade.
I'm not sure if they knew the exact time, and they should have, though. But fair, no, even the mid lane on JeffHindla, the ultimate not going to hit from ShadowNightmare, the tornado neither. Space and time, however, a different story as it connects on BigManTingz, forcing Dignitas back.
And LG still going to go aggressive. Scary D takes the portal, and
Good
Mast
pull.
pulls him out of the tower. FrostiaK picked up.
The monkey is down, and now the boys of LG can head over towards the Golf if they so choose. Right, Harpies are being taken right now by ScaryD as well, and a healthy-looking Luminosity can still look for the Golf Fury.
No Wrath for them, though, so this is going to be contested. Suntouch pulled in,
he
stunned by Mike,
But Mass took a
trying
lot
to
of
get
poke
away.
as well, and Suntouch is forced out, and the snipes from BaRRaCCuDDa. 1, 2, Marvel's here watching! It's not enough damage, though. The tornado will hit BaRRa as a response, but it's not enough to pick up the kill.
And they're just going to have to back off there. Polar Bear, or not Polar Bear, Mike. JeffHindla doing a good job so far in this game. I mean, just at the right-hand Harpies, managing to stay alive, juke the Kukulkan ult after the initiation from FrostiaK, and then right there, the second Suntouch gets pulled by Mast, crushing Earth, stuns him. He's forced out. Suntouch barely got away. I mean, that was his health regen. If BaRRa fired those shots faster and they connected, obviously he wants to make sure and line them up and hit the shot, but he would have died.
Very interesting situation, though, with that Gold Fury, because the main thing is the Gold Fury stays standing, so Dignitas don't fall further behind. And when we talk about further behind, well, it's 2K already, and we've not even seen the mark of 10 minutes hit yet.
Dig haven't even shown a fight. They didn't even know that their speed was getting invaded after Luminosity put 3 members in the right side. Ducky backed, and they just had expected that LG would have walked away, I'm assuming.
I guess our fire elementals and just take the blue. Well, in the end, they just lost more experience in the jungle. A mass so far, 1-0-1. Susano, the only person at Super Regionals to pick it out and play it, has made it work again so far.
And the first time we saw this, hold that thought, Ducky. Another gank on the right-hand side.
Oh, good pull back in from Mass there once again, and Ducky will use the Lord of the Afterlife, but the ultimate comes through for Masked.
Frosty
That was
waiting on
beautiful.
this corner too.
That was just so clean.
It's just Matt. I mean, we saw the tether come out. Mass just quickly backs up, get out of the range, makes sure he's not going to stun, then pushes forward. After they force the ult, he just times exactly where to send his ultimate and finds the kill. It was just clean. And I mean, Ducky's so far behind at this point. All he had was boots done.
There's times when you look at Masked and see him play in the jungle, right, that you understand all the hype that was surrounding him and how he ended up going to multiple rosters because they were all willing to pick him up because of his amazing play. Now and again, though, he's not really performed to the standard we expected, but this set and previous ones as well, he is starting to show one of the reasons he's there.
Honestly, I only think we've seen a single poor showing from Mass at Super Regional so far, and that was the first game against Thor. His Thor play wasn't on point, but in the group stage and every other game, it's been great. Dig, though, gonna catch Luminosity sleeping.
Really good work from them. Space and time fired, though, but it's a little bit too late. Xeno's out of mana here. Can get the threshold down. Still giving chase, Xeno. He's trying to make it work. Fair weave on Xeno's in trouble himself. They could potentially turn this around. The tornado comes out, but the wraparound from Mast is good, and Mast will pick up one. Scary, another one. The Golf Fury answered back decently by Luminosity.
And if LG can get this mid tower as well, that's going to be a trade in favor of them overall, opening up map pressure and also making it very hard for ShadowNightmare. Without this mid tier 1, he's going to have to be constantly worried about the rotations from Mast, and the same thing with ScaryD.
Then the funny thing is that Dignitas here, they actually went for lane pressure in some of these lanes. Osiris, Anhur as well in the duo lane, but you're against a Terra in the duo lane, so it kind of limits you there as well. On top of the fact that you are playing against probably one of the best hunters in North America.
I mean, right now, this lead, I think, is entirely the result of Ducky and FrostiaK having a very poor level 1. They took too long to get to the blue buff, and then...
Does cheese go bad? Or does it just get better? Because I guess it goes bad, right?
It goes bad.
It goes bad for Dignitas, that's for sure, anyway.
I mean, it's not, I mean, if they performed the cheese, if they were a little bit more efficient in their movement, it would have been fine, and Ducky wouldn't be in the spot where he's 3 levels down and getting camped by Mass.
Now, he's called cheese, but he's not really. And at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want in the game of Smite as long as you win. You play to win, and if going into the enemy jungle early on and invading is what it takes to win, you do it. However, this time round, not to be the case. Luminosity have just slowly but surely trickled this lead into an almost insurmountable situation right now with how this game is going.
And I love how Mass is playing this game. He's repeatedly coming over to ScaryD's lane, trying to set up kills. Ducky a little bit more aware of it now. He has died twice, and so if he dies another time, it's going to get bad. But Mast just looping around with this speed buff, making it very hard for Dig to do
Look
anything.
at the level difference. I mean, right now you just saw Ducky hit level 10, but he's 2 levels down still on Scary. And meanwhile, in the jungle is a 3-level lead for Mast over FrostiaK.
Mast does not want to give this up. He's actually just stealing farm at this point from ScaryD. Actually the same level as his solo laner.
He can, and now because the tower's chipped down too, Ducky can't stay around here. So they're just going to get a free tier 1 tower on the right-hand side. This is just smart tactical play.
And Dig are playing so scared. They have 4 members splitting a red buff and back harpies. I mean, that's just so inefficient right now, and they're also allowing LG to do whatever they want on the right-hand side. Ducky was already in a bad spot. Now they've given up. And Dignitas, it's fine to give up Ducky and you know, let that happen, but you have to make plays elsewhere.
FrostiaK has used his hammer, sorry, his monkey, but at the same time he's forced to use Fear No Evil, only hitting ScaryD. Taunt comes out and will hit, but ScaryD gets some help from Terra's Blessing to help him get away from the fight. The Tornado not going to hit. Suntouch around the back, though, is still looking to pick something up.
Jumps in, and actually it's going to be pinned into the wall. Mass trouble, but he's hit by Xeno's snipe. And
into the sky goes BaRRaCCuDDa. 1 will hit, 2 will hit, 3 will hit. It's not enough damage yet, but Mast is waiting, as is ScaryD.
And Luminosity just abusing that movement speed aura from ScaryD to get in and out of that fight. Great ultimate from FrostiaK, but a little bit slow to fire the ultimate from ShadowNightmare. It does come out, but the team had beads. Those that were stunned had just, the Fear No Evil had just ended. Suntouch does a good job, I think, of rotating underneath Luminosity, but at this point, he just doesn't have the items online to make that big of an impact, even on Anhur.
And right now, LG are really claiming their spot in this group. They're claiming their spot for the World Championship so far. They've already beaten Orbit, and now they're taking it to Dignitas in a very dominant performance.
I mean, they've got, what, Sanguine left, Flashpoint left, and then finally ALG, but they're in a really good spot right now. Frosty, off the mark on overhand smash, Xeno spacing himself away, but here comes Mast around the corner, and man, Mast has been amazing this game. 3-0 and 4, 100% kill participation.
I'm taking into account he's had a speed buff since the start of the game, because he's just been taking FrostiaK the whole game too, so he's like, okay, constant speed buff for me, thanks very much. I'm Susano, I'm mobile anyway. Well, I'm even more mobile now.
And he's going to get this one, and just now ShadowNightmare checks the speed buff. I mean, you have to mount a defense at some point if you're Dignitas. You cannot allow Luminosity to just keep taking and taking and taking and taking.
The Gold Fury call was good. It worked out well for them, but they got caught on the exit as well. That was the biggest problem for them there. And they're so far behind at this stage. You can see just in levels alone is a huge impact. And then look at the item situation. You don't even need to look at the gold. Just look at how much items are in the inventories of these players.
And it's just ShadowNightmare has been working on Warlock Sash. It's 12 minutes. He doesn't have it completed just yet. Probably a little bit away. Can we check gold in hand? He needs a fair little bit, and he's close. He's close, but I mean, that's not going to be done until 14 minutes, and this gold tier is about to spawn. LG probably looking to force it. Once again, they're going to be looking for a pick. Mast trying to press forward into the jungle once he comes back from base.
And I guess they are looking towards ShadowNightmare as this game goes on now with this Kukulkan, hoping for the Spirit of the Nine Winds to make an absolutely monumental impact. He's going to have to get a bit of a build online to make that happen, though. But if he does, it could cause some issues for Luminosity. You never know when that ultimate's going to really devastate a team.
Yeah, through space and time, ultimates like Kukulkan, Spirit of the Nine Winds, these are ultimates that can one-shot squishies when you get full build. They are game-changing ults, but it's going to take a long time for ShadowNightmare to get in that position, and Dignitas need him to hit an ult now.
Well, let's listen into Luminosity's comms on the Steel Series listening.
They're zoned off, I'm zoning them.
Oh, it's free, you got it.
It's free.
Nice, good job.
It's guy now.
I'm with him.
Yeah, I'm ulting us through, the
Okay, yeah, nice. I'm holding it as well, I'm holding.
Nice.
Huddle down.
I'm fairly low, I have to get out. Got him. Push down. Nice.
Nice, that's fine.
Show mid.
Yep. I have heals for us. Yep, heals for us. Care.
Nice job.
Right down, get the tower.
Mid tower, reset.
Scary, I'm throwing to you.
Alright.
There's a heal beyond you for a second.
I think we go back up.
Yeah, we can back.
When speed blue,
Yep.
I'm right. No. I just respawn. You're good.
Yep. Yo, Mass, I'm gonna heal it. I'm dropping heal blue.
Well, it was nice and clean while they were doing the Gold Fury for Luminosity, but the fight broke out, and all I could hear was Jeff, which is normal, but then everybody else in Luminosity too, apart
Everyone
from
is a
BaRRa.
Jeff.
Apart from BaRRa, where BaRRa's like, the speed's up.
They've got 4 Jeffs on their team now. Well, I don't think ScaryD was talking at all, but Massino and, JeffHindla all making everything known. I think the most surprising part of that call was the person yelling, Hunbat's ult down, when everyone, and it was like in the middle of the team fight. It's like, yes, Hunbat's ult is down, but I mean, this team clearly works in the chaos. This has been the comm style of JeffHindla forever. ever. All he's doing is just yelling out every little bit of information for his team to intake.
Credit where it's due, though, to what Luminosity tried to do and how Dignitas responded there. Luminosity, to be fair, that was a little bit too aggressive with that space and time looking for Ducky, not knowing where anybody else in Dignitas was. And Dignitas set a very good trap there. The problem was is that when they sprung it, they didn't execute it as well as they could. If the Spirit of the Nine Winds did connect there, it could have been a different story.
At this point, though, the Spirit of the Nine Winds, it's not even going to be hitting that hard. That's the main issue, is that Dignitas don't have the damage because they're so far behind in levels and experience. FrostiaK isn't even level 12. He doesn't even have a second relic yet, so he doesn't even have the ability to blink engage. And so who is going to engage on Dignitas? It's really just BigManTingz. Ducky is not going to be able to survive for more than 2 seconds if he tries to go in.
At the moment, I'm not going to look forward to watching Luminosity play anymore in this group because they're just making the games boring and just easy wins right now. They put in a performance against Orbit and it looked like a stomp. This is looking the same way.
15,000 experience, 9,000 gold, and Dig has not put up a single kill. And that just goes to show you how such a small, minute detail like a level 1 invade and how it's handled can influence
game bait.
an entire game.
Suntouch is game bait because Mass is round the back. He leaps away straight towards a Susano. Susano goes in after using the leap, but the Sanctuary comes into play. And all the while, BaRRaCCuDDa's getting a tier 1 tower for free.
Jeff pushing up. He's surrounded by 2 people, but just keeping Frosty and ShadowNightmare busy so they can't rotate into that fight. And Xenotronics ult straight through.
Space and time, but Athena Weaver was used as well. BaRRaCCuDDa is back with Xenotronics, and Mass is trying to be a frontline for his team, but he's still squishy. Spirit of the Nine Winds doing some work as BaRRaCCuDDa going to get those snipes off one more time.
3 shots.
The portal comes into play, and FrostiaK falls down again. BaRRaCCuDDa credited for the kill.
Nothing Dignitas can do at this point. I mean, there's always that, okay, how can they come back into it? But Luminosity have just not taken their foot off the gas. They're going to find a 16-minute Phoenix, and Ducky as well as he gets pulled in. He ults away, but Scary and Mast chase him down. 6-0 and 8 on the Susano. 100% kill participation from Mask.
Fantastic work from Mass this game, and to be fair, for credit for the whole team, the way they've played this one so far, it does go back to the beginning of the game, though. It does go back to the invade from Dignitas. Did they execute it poorly? Were they late to the rotation for the blue buff? Should they have even gone for it in the first place? Should they have taken the fight afterwards in the lane? All those things can be questioned now.
And Dignitas have not put up any resistance. That's been their main problem. They haven't tried to take any fight, really. They've kind of just let Luminosity have their way, and at some point, you have to stop that. It was the same thing with Eager versus Flashpoint, where it was just take. Flashpoint never responded. You have to, at some point, you don't have to be aggressive and, you know, try and force a fight, but at least be in position to defend your buffs.
So where does this put Dignitas then in the standings with how this game has gone here, Adonis?
I mean, they performed okay earlier. I think the biggest thing about Dignitas is they're just a little bit inconsistent. That's their main issue.
This is the second one they've dropped, correct? Just for the
they'll be, if they do lose this, it'll be 1 and 2.
So if they drew, I mean, I don't like calling it, but this is called. I'll say that now. This is over. If this comes back and ends, I don't know. I'll eat my hat. I'll buy a hat. I'll eat my bow tie live on air. Okay?
Oh, don't do that.
That's how confident I am.
That's gonna make you sick.
Have this game right now. Trust me, wearing them makes me sick.
What if BaRRa ate McDonald's and he's all of a sudden just gonna pass out?
I don't think they even need BaRRa at this point in time. That's how confident I am. This is a 4v5.
It's possible.
Easy.
And Ducky getting chased down with that Amaterasu aura. And Frosty just almost dead on his own initiation.
Well, Spirit of the Nine wins, but it hits Xenotronics, and Xeno's still alive as BaRRaCCuDDa gets himself a double, looking for a triple kill. Target sights to set up to ShadowNightmare. Hits all 3. We've seen him do that to a Kukulkan before.
Has he missed a shot at this point? Right-hand Phoenix gonna fall. And FrostiaK, I mean, he finally hits level 12, so he can be the initiator. But he blinks in and just gets shot for 70% of his life
before
instantly.
Yeah, the team were actually scattered of Luminosity, but the damage still hit him at the same time. I actually have a feeling it might have been Scary D on the reflection, potentially there.
That, or they had just expected. It's probably Unstable Vortex.
Yeah.
They might have expected the initiation coming out from him. After you blink, you do have to wait that half a second, and if Xeno already had that ability primed, maybe has it on instacast. Either way, though, it made FrostiaK's initiation pointless. Spear of the Nine Winds does connect onto Xenotronics, but they're still not able to follow up. It was only FrostiaK in the front line.
Well, this actually will put Luminosity at the top of the standings alongside Allegiance, I believe, with 2-0 victories so far.
They will both be 2-0, correct.
However, Cherio and the boys of Sanguine are now slipped down to 0 and 2, and Dignitas will be in 1 and 2. So both Dignitas and Sanguine have to win the next games that they have to play all the tournament. They can't drop another game to still have a chance. If you lose 3 games here, I'm pretty sure you're done.
Yeah, you can't lose 3 games and win out of this group. And North America looking pretty dominant overall. Even ALG, I think, have exceeded most people's expectations.
They were the surprise package, though. This team got formed specifically for the Super Regional, specifically for this group contest, and ALG looked fantastic, but Luminosity are on their heels.
Dropship again? And so I love what Luminosity is doing. They're doing exactly what Soar did to them, using this Janus to just dropship an entire team and the Amaterasu movement speed aura to allow them to catch up, chase anyone. And then you have Terra's ult on top of it. There's so much MS on Luminosity.
I will say as well, the Luminosity definitely feel to me like a situational team in terms of like confidence boosting, right? The confidence that flows through this team gets stronger and stronger when they start finding wins. They found a big win against Orbit. That was a big nail to put in the coffin of EU. And then to face Dignitas and do this to them, the confidence is just going to keep on growing and growing. And there's the space and time.
All 5 members through the portals here. They're going to go straight on ShadowNightmare in the backline. BigManTingz trying to deal with everyone else, but he's stunned out by the crushing earth as Mask cleans up in the fountain.
Absolutely no reason for Luminosity to do that. It was a potential throw. They could have all got decided with that play, but they are so far ahead right now. It wasn't a potential throw. They would have never lost this game. It's 18-0. Dignitas are not getting a kill right now. The Titan is going to help them try and get one, but can they even find it?
It's going to be a shutout, and LG look like they're farming kills at this point. The Titan at half, and now it's going to be the end of the game. LG go 2-0. Day 1 of the wildcard group stage, definitely looking like some front runners.
Beautiful stuff, the North American side of things, that is for sure. Europe are going to have to pick things up. There's 2 more games left today, though, and a few more tomorrow to really decide it. But that was a dominant performance from Luminosity.
Honestly, ALG and Luminosity are the teams I'm looking at as the favorites right now. Too much passive play coming out of Flashpoint. Dignitas is inconsistent. Sanguine is, they're lacking experience, I think a lot of it is, especially into their late game team fights and knowing how to play around it, but LG looking so much better than they did against Soar, and ALG, we're starting to see Stealth look way more consistent and solid, along with Oceans just showing up.
Well, showing up with the boys at Luminosity right now, and let's find out what the analysts have to say about Dignitas and Luminosity's performance.
We'll give them an inch and they'll take a mile. The story of Luminosity coming through strong in this performance. It was just pretty phenomenal by not only the hand warmer himself, Masked. 18-0. They had 100%. He had 100% kill participation in that game.
19-0. This was the fastest game of the whole day. I think it was like, what, 23 minutes, 22 minutes, something like that. And Masked was just on point ever since the botched invade coming from Dignitas. So I like the idea that they had just to double Wrath invade, because they also had double Wrath on the side of Luminosity. But because of the way Luminosity responded was just so key. They poked out FrostiaK, forcing him north, while Ducky still cleaned out those blue little minions, and as a result, we saw Luminosity get to the soul lane first, which meant that they're going to clear the way first. They hit level 2 first. They take out Ducky, and now Ducky has Wrath, so he has to walk back to the lane, and he misses out on so much experience and gold.
Yeah, that invade really cost them there. I mean, maybe if they'd just taken the blue buff and gotten out and left the side creeps, they would have been fine. Maybe if they'd, gone straight for the blue instead of waiting for the speed to be half clear before going for it. But, hindsight's 20/20, I guess. They definitely lost the entire game off of that one moment.
Moving forward, there was obviously just the resurgence of what we saw BaRRaCCuDDa just looking phenomenal on that ROM. I don't know if he missed a snipe in that ult.
I don't think he did. I mean, as someone made sure Marvels is still sitting up there.
BaRRaCCuDDa is confirmed Marvels right here. He has a little bit of his power for sure during those snipes. Even getting hit by the dragon, it didn't matter. Once he went to the sky, even whether or not he killed them, he was hitting these snipes.
It was nasty.
It was beautiful. It was a work of art.
You see FrostiaK jumping in on the initiation there, but he dead so quickly.
He just dead so quickly sometimes.
I don't know how else to say it. I wanted to get technical with it, so I just thought we'd go as technical as possible. He just
Sometimes,
died. They couldn't compare because, you know, of course, the initiation coming from Batz, it was valued in EU, but NA, they weren't really scared of it, and it showed. They just had a game plan, and it worked for them.
And I don't know what Dignitas' game plan was, but they just let Terra go through to Luminosity. This is not something that you can let it go through if you're the second pick.
Yeah, I think Terra, so far this tournament has proved why she's being banned so much. Anytime she's gone through, she's just looked absolutely dominant out there. I think maybe Dig didn't know if LG played it or not. Maybe they were just, you know, taking a risk and saying, maybe NA don't value Terra. Maybe LG don't play it. Maybe we can get away with this. And obviously they were wrong, and I don't think we'll see Jeff on Terra again this tournament.
No, not at all. That was definitely a risky idea by Dignitas, and as a result now, they only win 1 game out of 3 for today. Luminosity pick up their 2nd win out of their 2 matches, putting them in a great spot. And now Dignitas tomorrow have to go face off against Orbit GG and Flashpoint Esports, 2 very strong opponents.
Orbit's also got another match coming up in just a moment. They're going to be facing off against Team Allegiance, who is at the top of the bracket now with Luminosity. And this is going to be an exciting game because it is kind of the tale of two vibes, so to speak. Orbit feeling a little down, not really getting their rhythm. They're kind of underperforming. ALG kind of showing up where a lot of people thought they had a lot of question marks behind them. This energy is really picking up for that team.
Absolutely, and I'm really curious to see how Orbit is able to really adapt to some of their games, because that last loss that they had recently was just not too good for them.
Well, talk about getting technical. The man with the mechanical skill, BaRRaCCuDDa, standing by with aggro.
Barra, you told me that you missed a snipe. Is that true?
Yeah, it was just Anhur was just standing there and I just missed it. I was like, oh
what is
my God,
wrong with you,
I'm
dude?
brain
Can
dead.
you please like get on your game, because your team needs you, Barra?
He wasn't even strafing and I just missed. I was like, oh, I'm the worst player in the world.
Well, I mean, you didn't look like it that set, and your team looked like one of the best teams in the world. A complete turnaround from how you looked to day 1. I mean, talk to me about what's different today than yesterday.
I think it's kind of like groups where the first day we just played god awful. Like, we just had no pressure anywhere, and I wasn't really allowed to play the game. My teammates weren't really allowed to play the game. Like, BaRRaCCuDDa just controlled that side of the map. We just did really reckless things. We just did really reckless dives, and today Xeno's like shot calling everything, and also all my teammates turned up my mic so they can all hear me now, because apparently they couldn't hear me before. So I'm able to shot call, and I don't know, I'm just hitting ridiculous. Oh no, this is it. Oh God. Oh, this is it. No, not that. Oh, I told you.
Ruined.
I'm the worst.
Not like
that's
this,
just embarrassing.
dude.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
That's all right.
Just really embarrassing.
I mean, we took a listen at one point, and usually when we're listening to your team, it's a lot of Jeff and a lot of you, and then that's basically what it is. But it's everyone was talking at the same level of Jeff, outside of Scary. But you know, how much easier is it for your team to just like get all that information and be able to use all of it?
I would say it's super easy because that's the way our team's always communicated. There's always a lot of information. There's always a lot of communication. When we first joined, it was really difficult, or when we first made the team, it was really difficult to understand everyone. But now that we can kind of hear everyone, and you kind of like open different, I don't know, brain waves for different teammates. Because like me, I specifically listen to Xeno in team fights, and he's setting me up, I'm setting him up. He knows if I'm peeling for him, and then Mask and Jeff are really like communicating together, like whether we need to keep diving, whether we need to pull back a little bit. So it's just, I don't know, it's like perfect communication, I think.
Is it as simple as when Xeno and Scary have confidence, your team can be this sort of team? Is that really all it comes down to? Because that's what it seems to look like from the outside looking in.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, ScaryD is a whole new player today. Xeno's a whole new player today. We have pressure in mid. We're pressuring buffs. Also, last game, Dig pretty much handed it to us when we got first blood. Like, they invaded, we got first blood. We had control of their speed and blue the rest of the game. I literally didn't have to do anything last game, and my teammates just carried me. Like, it was perfect.
That's the best sort of feeling. And talk to me, I mean, that game kind of just spoke for itself, but your game up against Orbit, you guys were the two teams that no one really expected to be here. I mean, we knew that either you or Sora was going to drop down to groups, but Orbit was a team that no one really expected to come down into groups. Were you surprised at the way they played? They didn't look like themselves.
I think they lost a lot of confidence when they lost to Obey. I think that really shook them just when you were watching the games and looking at, well, I could see them in person, so just seeing how they look after they lost, they didn't handle it well at all emotionally. I think it carried into today, whereas my team, we were used to sucking on the first day. So
it's like, oh, nothing new, man.
It's like, well, it's typical Friday for us. But we were able to kind of, I don't know, me and Jeff are really good at resetting people's minds, and I think we were allowed to come into this with confidence, and we were, honestly, we're a lot more confident or a lot more confident in against other teams besides Soar. I think my team has a lot of mental blocks against Soar, and I think it was like I told them not to.
Big bad Baskin, man.
Yeah, like he just ran the game, and against other teams like Scary D's just playing lights out. Like he's just destroying every solo, and we're able to translate scrims into actual play now.
That's the best case scenario. It's you guys 2-2. We're 2-0 right now of your 2 games. Allegiance, the other team, 2-0. Maybe a little bit surprising with how good they've looked. What are you expecting in this next matchup? It's going to be them versus Orbit.
Unless Orbit got over what happened earlier and their loss to us and their loss yesterday, Allegiance is going to take it 100%. But if Orbit is able to come back mentally, I think Orbit.
All right, well, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're just going to take a short break, I do believe, and then we'll be throwing it to that. Congratulations, BaRRa.
Thank you.